Alright guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Thank you much for tuning in. So, today we're watching Dylan Wright. I've never watched him before. No videos up until now. But I've seen this video pop up on my recommendations on YouTube a couple days ago. It's called The Soulless Death of Mobile Gaming. And honestly, that sounds like a very interesting video. So, today we're going to be watching it. Link to the original video is down in the description. Make sure you subscribe to Dylan if you enjoyed this video and support him. And let's see, 1080p, everything set up perfectly. Okay, let's get started, shall we?
You ever look at this and think, man, I wish I could do that, but on the go? Yeah, this is probably better. When you hear the term mobile...
Honestly, no. I'm gonna be honest, like, I have handheld gaming consoles, I have my PSP from years ago, I still have my 3DS somewhere collecting dust, I've got my Switch, but maybe it's just because I'm a fucking hermit and I don't go outside that much, but I never really had the desire to do, like, handheld gaming on the go somewhere. I don't know. Like, for my cousin, years ago, when he was doing his apprenticeship, he had to take the train. He was always complaining because it was so far away, like 40-minute train drive or something. During that time, he bought himself a Switch, and that was perfect, because, you know, on the way to work and after work, he could just play some games, put on some headphones, and just chill and play some Zelda or something. But for me, I also stuff like the Steam Deck and stuff like that, it just never seemed really appealing to me. I always thought it was kind of cool, but that was it.
gaming, you probably think of those quick, bite-sized games you play on your phone. I guess it could also mean something like this, but that's not what we're talking about today. Everyone has played a mobile game at some point in their lives, whether it be a game specifically made for a touchscreen, a console game ported to phone, or even one of those text message games. And
I remember playing Fruit Ninja and just swiping from left to right the entire time, to the point where my fucking fingers started getting really hot from the friction.
Along with many others, have very fond memories of the games we played as a kid. However, if you've played mobile games as of late, you've probably noticed that they just don't feel the same anymore. And I'm not just talking from a place of nostalgia. If you compare an older mobile game to a newer one, you'd think that this game is from 2013 and this from 2025.
Yeah. Bro, don't throw it. I would not want to throw my Switch, bro. Buying a new one, okay, that's like a separate issue, but what about the entire progress on your games? Yeah, modern games, I think maybe the passion just died out.
But no, it's the other way around. And it's not that there's just a couple of bad games. It feels like the vast majority of what is being released
Bro, that's like 1-by-1 copy of the games you see in these YouTube ads, these unskippable piece of shit ads.
Today looks like, I don't know, this.
Solve the equation.
Make her smart. What? We had 5 minus 3 and he drew, I don't know, a fucking discount swastika, and it was correct. I play mobile games and there's few good mobile games. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think people just, or maybe, not people, but maybe developers just don't really care that much anymore. Because I guess if you bring out a shitty game like that and you plaster it with ads and you get the same amount of money as if you really put in effort, probably isn't worth it for the developers.
I don't think I'm alone in saying that mobile games today just feel so forgettable. If you were held at gunpoint and asked to name a mobile game released in the past 3 years, your best chance at survival would be naming a random object with .io at the end. But despite everyone almost unanimously agreeing that mobile games today are worse, it seems like no one really knows.
What the fuck is that? What
Everyone almost unanimously agreeing that mobile games today are worse, it seems like no one really knows why.
What? My fault. All while mobile games because of money. Yeah. Yeah. But I did see a couple weeks ago like a graphic or something like that where they talked about the gaming industry as a whole and how much money they made in 2025. And if I recall correctly, I think mobile gaming was like 40% or something like that of all the money they made. Like more than consoles and more than PC. And I mean, that has to be these whole fucking gacha games.
Sure, it's easy just to blame it on the absurd amount of ads these games have or their terrible visuals, but the games everyone seems to point to as the good mobile games also have.
Yeah, Candy Crush. I mean, Candy Crush was, regardless of what you think of Candy Crush was like, or is one of the biggest mobile games of all time, if not the biggest. And while it does not look that appealing, it is kinda addicting for many people. It's okay gameplay.
Had ads and they didn't always have the best visuals.
Yeah, Temple Run, for example. The monster from Temple Run looked fucking hideous, let's be real. But
so clearly something else is causing this change, and I want to get to the bottom of it. But in order to truly figure out what is going on here, we need to travel back in time to the very beginning of mobile gaming. June 29th, 2007 is the day the first iPhone was released, and from this point forward, the smartphone game market would never be the same.
1 second, guys. Give me a second. I need to show you something. I hope I can find it. I hope I can find it and show it to you. So, let me show you. That's what I meant. God of War mobile game Java. I don't know if some people are even aware of that, but God of War had a fucking like 2D mobile game. A fucking Java mobile game. I played that on my phone. Like, that was in 7th grade. I had a classmate who was pretty well versed on computer stuffs and so. And he literally found that game online for my fucking old Sony Ericsson and sent it to me via Bluetooth so I could install it. And I had fucking God of War on my fucking Sony Ericsson in 7th grade. That was the very first time I played God of War. It was very simple, especially if you compare it to like the modern God of War games, but I really loved that game. That was really fucking cool. And multiple hours of playtime. That was really cool, honestly. So graphics don't have to be amazing
before this point. There were a few attempts at phone games prior to the invention of smartphones, but those looked like, well, this.
Oh yeah, the Nokia games.
But with the introduction of the iPhone came the App Store, and as much as
I did not know that. My childhood mobile game was like Asphalt 8. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know when the God of War game came out. Must have been many years ago, because I played it in like early 2010 somewhere. 2012, 2013, maybe somewhere in that time.
As we take it for granted today, this was a huge step for the future of mobile gaming. The App Store allowed for third-party developers to make iPhone apps easily accessible to people using an iPhone, which wasn't really possible.
Oh, look at the fucking lag.
This was a big deal, not just for the large gaming developers, but for anyone who was interested in making a game. Me? Never before was it this easy for a game developer to make a game and instantly have it in the eyes of people using the exact device their game is for.
True.
And because of this, we enter into what I'm going to call the golden age of mobile gaming. This is the era of mobile gaming I think most people are nostalgic for. You got your Angry Birds, Cut the Rope, Subway Surfers, Jetpack Joyride. And what made the App Store
Cut the
so
Rope,
unique
till
is
this day is one of my favorite mobile games
were
of
made by
all
small
time.
independent developers. Contrary to what you would expect, a majority of the biggest mobile game franchises of all time time were made by independent teams of less than 10 people, sometimes even a single person.
Cool.
Angry Birds, ever heard of that game before? It was made by 7 people and became one of the largest franchises, not just in mobile gaming, but of all time.
Like, they literally made movies out of it.
Companies weren't interested in mobile gaming. Heck, they'd be stupid not to dip their toes into it. It's a device that can be carried around with you anywhere, and more people own one than a video game console, so why wouldn't we make Resident Evil Mobile Edition?
What the fuck?
Yeah, most major gaming companies just saw mobile gaming as another medium for them to sell their console games. While small indie studios worked on games specifically made for the iPhone's hardware, the larger companies fell behind as console ports to phone just weren't very appealing. I mean, if you take Mega Man for mobile and put it next to
Baby, that's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Hey, Torta Man, thank you for the follow. Hi, can you rank
just followed.
Thank you for the follow. Can you rank the strongest anime character in Squid Game by any sense? I'll put it down on my to-watch list, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to it today. I wasn't planning on streaming that much, but I will write it down and hope I can get to it soon enough.
You look at this and think, yeah, I'd want to play that on a phone, and this and think, oh, I'd rather play this on anything but a phone. Large developers just didn't seem to understand what it is that makes mobile gaming appealing. It's not the fact that you can play a game
like the VTuber
anywhere.
character.
It's the fact that you can play a game that was made to be played anywhere. So because of this, independent developers picked up the steam. They crafted games that felt intuitive to play, taking advantage of the...
He's making a good point. Like the difference between video games that were ported over to mobile or games that were made with the intention of only be played on mobile. Because like there's also like GTA on mobile, but it's just this San Andreas or GTA 3 port. And while it does work, you can tell it's not intended, or it wasn't intended for these platforms.
iPhone's touchscreen. Angry Birds had you pulling back on a slingshot. Where's My Water carving a path through dirt. And Cut the Rope, you literally cut the rope. All these being things that weren't possible on a traditional gaming controller, and it really looked promising for the future of mobile gaming. In fact, there was a period of time when people thought that console gaming was going to become completely irrelevant due to the popularity of mobile gaming. New innovative games were releasing left and right, and it seemed like nothing could stop mobile gaming.
What? Jetpack Joyride. I think that... No, that was earlier. That is Doodle Jump, bro. What the fuck, man? That is Doodle Jump. Oh, Doodle Jump. That was also...
left and right.
Doodle Jump was like the first of these iconic mobile games that I ever played. On like my cousin's iPod Touch. Or GTA Chinatown. Yeah, for example, like that. Doodle Jump, bro. Especially with like how you could rotate your phone and then the character would change in which direction it jumps or flies. Because before that, no other game really did that.
And it seemed like nothing could stop mobile gaming.
Oh, Plants vs. Zombies fucking goated, bro.
Oh my god, our mouth is getting so big, we're swallowing the city.
This is whole IO, and it's one of the most addictive mobile games.
Around 2011 to 2013 is when the first cracks in the mobile gaming market started to form, and you might not believe me when I say this, but a lot of it had to do with money. When mobile gaming first hit the market, the idea of creating a free-to-play game was unfathomable. You spent months, maybe years pouring your heart and soul into a game, just to release it for free? How am I supposed to make money? In-app purchases weren't a thing before 2009, so for the early years of mobile gaming, most games were a one-time purchase, meaning you bought the game and that was it. Because of this, most
I remember
games, at least the level-based ones, followed the design philosophy of full-release console games.
But honestly, I would prefer that so much more. Like I get it. If it's aimed towards kids and they're broke, they don't really can afford that. I was like that as well myself one time. But I would much rather have a mobile game that you pay like, I don't know, $3-4 for. And then you got the game, you got all of the levels, and you got 0 ads. Especially the very penetrant, very in-your-face, unskippable ones. Like, oh, you wanna revive your character? Watch this 30-second unskippable ad. Or go fuck yourself. No thanks. Thank you.
Play through a series of levels, slowly increasing in difficulty, and face challenges that can be hard to figure out, but feel fair and rewarding when
I rather want ads in my mobile games than in-app purchases. That's another thing. Like, ideally, you don't have ads and app purchases, and then instead you just pay once. But also a reasonable price. If you're asking me like $20 for a mobile game, I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, I'm a cheapskate. I sometimes don't even pay $20 for a PC game. Like,
you finally do figure them out. And with developers only worried about selling their game once, their effort went into crafting a genuinely fun experience for the player through and through, focusing solely on the game's mechanics because that's all that people cared about. But this all changed in 2009 when Apple introduced in-app purchases to the App Store. Now in the beginning, I actually think in-app purchases were very healthy for mobile gaming and even benefited the consumer in many ways. This might be a controversial take here, but people like things that are free. And although these paid
yes. I would say he's correct. In its core, if you, instead of having to put a price tag on a game, can then go and make the game free, but certain items like skins, for example, cost money. Whatever. But it didn't stay there. You had then, it escalated eventually to having free games with tons of ads, with in-game purchases, not just for skins, but like for better characters, weapons, etc. It went way more towards this pay to win.
Games sold very well, there was still an untapped potential into the market of users who only downloaded free games. And so once in-app purchases were added to the App Store, many games experimented with the idea of freemium experiences. Basically, you could download the game for free, but only a certain amount of the game was available to you before you had to pay to unlock the rest. And this right here is the healthiest state I think mobile gaming has ever been in. It was a win-win scenario for everyone. You could download a game for free without the risk of paying for something you ended up not liking.
Yes, that's about what I was gonna say, because if you only have in the beginning had games that you have to pay money for, what if you go and you buy like free games, you pay like 10-15 bucks in total, and all of them are fucking ass, and you hate all of them? You're gonna be really mad that you wasted so much money. Well, I mean, 15 bucks is not the end of the world, but it's still money you basically burned. But if it's free, you can test it out, and if you want more, you can pay some money here and there. I think it is also fine if I pay to disable ads, but everything that gives a real advantage is a no-go for me. Yeah. In some games, if you turn off like your Wi-Fi or your mobile data, the ads don't properly work. But some games also are even worse, and they're like, if you don't have mobile data or a Wi-Fi on, and we cannot give you ads, app's just not gonna work properly.
Full game, the developers would make their money without having to shove a million ads in your face. Or some games would even opt to having their whole game be available for free, the only caveat being you would have to deal with ads. But if you wanted to pay a little extra money, you could remove the ads entirely and have an uninterrupted experience. Both are very consumer-friendly practices that only help to increase the accessibility of these games. And if you did decide to pay, what you were paying for was the game itself. But as with all good things in life, this didn't last long. Developers quickly realized that if we can charge people to unlock levels, why can't they also pay to get coins? Or to make the level easier, or to gamble. And slowly these apps morphed from trying to sell you on the game itself to trying to figure out how they could design their game to include as many in-app purchases as humanly possible. And there is no better example of this than quite possibly the most popular mobile gaming franchise of all time, Angry Birds. Everyone knows Angry Birds.
Ah, okay. I thought he was gonna say Candy Crush, honestly.
You launch your birds from a slingshot to knock down the pig's towers, and you score points at the end of each level, trying to get a perfect 3 stars. It's a great evolution of the Crush the Castle formula. However, as the years went on, you can see a noticeable shift in the direction.
And you have the iconic music. The iconic Angry Birds music.
The early Angry Birds games were all designed with the core purpose of being
Angry Birds Star Wars, bro, I remember that.
The game's unique mechanics in cool and interesting ways, and although the levels would get difficult, they ultimately were puzzles that were meant for you to solve, and the series became beloved because of it. Eventually though, people got tired of the same old formula, so Rovio needed to pivot. They made a few spin-off titles that to this day are still really good games, if they were still on the App Store. But
this is my first mobile game I ever played. That's a good one. That is setting a high standard. Honestly. Like I said, from the iconic ones, Doodle Jump was absolutely my first. But the very first game I ever played on mobile, like what we had earlier with the fucking Nokia. There it is. There it is. Where is it? There, with the fucking snake. That was my very
The
first one.
franchise started to struggle financially. They went from making a lot of money to making a lot of money, but now a little less. And so with their next game, they needed to do something big. And that something big was making a casino for toddlers. Angry Birds 2 hit the scene in 2015, and you can instantly tell with this game that something about the whole thing is just off. The original Angry Birds was a game where you would launch funny birds at a tower, but now you have gems that can be used to buy chests. There's a card tower that essentially
Hell
is just
yeah,
a gambling game, and
cool.
if you
That
lose,
looks like
you can continue
so
with
much
gems.
fun.
There's these pearls which you use to buy hats for your birds that can make them more powerful, but you also use gems to spin this wheel of chance that might give you more pearls. There's a daily event that if you lose, you have to spend gems to continue, a battle pass, loot boxes, offers.
Like, I'm genuinely worried to a certain degree that we later in 5, 10, 15 years are gonna have a generation of people somewhat addicted to gambling. Because they grew up with like fucking skins and shit like that and loot boxes.
Popping up on your screen every 5 seconds, cooldowns galore, and even the main menu
20
loot boxes, offers popping up on your screen every
bird of the day, 6,000 rainbow feathers. Only $20 remaining free. Oh, you can buy that 3 times. Yeah, I definitely want to pay $60 on Angry
5
Birds.
seconds, cooldowns galore, and even the main menu of this game is basically all places for you to spend your money, with the actual levels being crammed into the corner here. And once you do get into the main game, it's even worse. This game uses a card system for your birds, which on paper is an interesting idea. It allows you to choose which bird you want to play next, and if done properly, it could add a ton of strategy to the game's simple formula. But they don't do any of that, and it's very clear the only reason this card system is in place is to entice you into spending money. These levels are purposefully designed to just be slightly too long or slightly too hard for the amount of cards
I think it is either Jetpack Joyride or Angry Birds for my first mobile games. Yeah. Good games.
you have, and when
Good
you run
memories.
out, you can always spend some gems or watch an ad to get a few more. And this
That's
would all be
that's the thing I mean. The thing I mentioned earlier. With the
spend
stupid
some
watch
gems
an
or
ad.
watch an ad to
Watch a video to get a free bird. Want to revive your character? Watch this 30-second unskippable video where they're trying to sell you bullshit. And again, if it's kids that are playing it, unless their daddy has like a loaded credit card and is like, yeah, my son, you go spend $100 on fucking Angry Birds, they're gonna watch the free video to get this free bird. And so many stupid ads, bro.
get a few more, and this would all be fine if you could just restart the level. It'd be a fun challenge to figure out how to beat it with the amount of cards you're given, but you are actively encouraged not to try again because you have to spend these energy points, which you only get a limited amount of every few hours, just to retry the level a single time. It costs 10 energy points to retry a level or even just start it, and you only get 60 max. It's a purposefully
so
frustrating
disgusting.
game loop that only exists to try and reach into your wallet, and the levels are actively worse because of it. While the original Angry Birds had smartly designed levels that challenged you on figuring out where to shoot your birds, it feels like in Angry Birds 2 they purposely space out the towers and divide the levels into segments so you are forced to use more cards, which means you're more likely to run out and then pay money, and I think you get what I'm saying here. It's really unfortunate because they do have some really interesting ideas in this game that I think if done right could be an incredible modernization of the original Angry Birds game, but no, why would they do that when they can just shove a price tag in your face? And
Loot
mobile games
boxes,
across the
baby.
board are switching to this philosophy of making good money over making a good game. Angry Birds 2 at least includes some interesting gameplay elements, but the vast majority of games populating mobile stores today don't even bother on that end. And why would they when it's been proven to be
Bro,
games populating mobile
it looks
stores
like
today don't even bother on that.
Last Z survival shooter. It looks like literally identical to the fucking YouTube ads. Bro, if you told me this game was only solely AI generated, I wouldn't doubt you.
And And why would they when it's been proven to be financially beneficial to prioritize player retention over actual gameplay? That's why it's so hard to find anything that feels like those classic mobile games of the past. All these developers are so focused on making a monetizable experience that they forget to make a fun game in the process. They're either so brain dead easy with super short levels so you think,
I wouldn't say
one more
forget.
couldn't hurt, or
They
so
probably
frustratingly
just don't
difficult that you
care.
become determined to solve it. Compared to games of the past that actually respected your ability to solve challenges and didn't use all these retention tactics, and combine that with the fact that majority of the games being made today are by large corporations and no longer independent developers, and it's pretty clear why things just don't hit the same anymore. They don't care if anyone enjoys their game as long as they make a few dollars in the process. And at its core, this is why mobile gaming today just doesn't feel the same. It's not the terrible game ads we've all seen. It's not how many ads they shove into your face. In fact, it's not even the in-app purchases themselves. These things would all be fine enough if the games themselves actively tried to be good, but they don't, and it's because the design philosophy
this
has
looks
changed.
like some fucking
They're not
Flash
even
game from
trying
15
to be good.
Brother, what in the actual fuck is that? And you want kids to play that shit as well?
Now, I'm not
Okay,
saying that every
okay.
mobile game today is bad. In fact, I can think of a couple that I've played in the past few years that I thoroughly enjoyed. But unfortunately, that only makes up a small portion of the gaming market today. If you removed all this slop from the App Store, I honestly don't think people would see mobile gaming in such a negative light. There is still good stuff out there, but when it feels like the majority of the industry is trying to cram their hands into your wallet, it can be hard to enjoy even the games that are genuinely well made. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, mobile gaming might not be quite what it used to be, but that shouldn't stop you from being able to also see the good. And honestly, understanding why these games are the way they are kind of makes me appreciate them in a way. Sure, they're soulless, money-hungry products, but I can respect them for what they are. And if you enjoy these types of games, then don't let anyone stop you from enjoying what you do. Unless if that something is Kiss in Public Simulator, you need to get help.
What the Okay. Okay, bro. Kiss in Public Simulator. How do you even come up with that shit? Kiss in Public Simulator. My god. Okay. Okay, brother. What? Kiss in Public. Wow. Okay. That was a good one. Like I said in the beginning, link is down in the description. Make sure you subscribe to Dylan if you enjoyed this one. I hope mobile gaming can, at least to some degree, go back to what it used to be at one point in time. It's kind of sad. We don't... If you want to make money, sure, but I don't think you have to sell fucking loot boxes to kids. Kissing Public Sim straight to jail. For the developers, maybe. Bruh. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your requests down in the comments or join the Discord and leave them there. And I hope I will see all of you in the next video. Take care and have a great day. Until then, bye.